morning and welcome to, my name is Tim DeKreiger. I'm the program manager for Hiring Our Heroes Corporate Fellowship Program in Atlanta. And today we have an industry brief presented by Leidos. And the topic is preparing for a career in defense, cybersecurity, and information technology. A couple admin notes before I introduce our first speaker. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box at the bottom instead of the text box. Questions tend to get lost down there. We will be recording this, and a copy will be available at www.hiringourheroes.org/career-community. And if you would like to sign up for future events, you can do so at hiringourheroes.org/events. And with that, I'd like to introduce Alex Verhulst. He is the Talent Acquisition Military Program Manager at Leidos.
All right, thank you very much, Tim. So thank you to everybody for joining us today for this webinar. We're going to do things a little bit, try and be a little bit more specific today and focusing on a couple of our larger programs here at Leidos. But before I get to that and introductions, just real quick, as Tim mentioned, my name is Alex Verhulst, and I am the Talent Acquisition Military Program Manager here at Leidos. I head up Operation MVP, which is our military veteran program, which is really all about the hiring and outreach for military veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses, really supporting the entire organization of Leidos. So today, as I mentioned, we have a briefing for two of our programs, one in our defense group, and that's the NGEN program. And we have with us Roman Vitkovitsky and Sean Huffman to speak on NGEN. And then we also are going to have some information in a briefing for our NANA program, which falls under our intelligence group. And we have Shane Yeager and Gus Staiths to present on that particular program. So I'm just going to go over a little bit of information on Leidos as a whole, and then I'm going to turn it over to Roman and Sean to kind of kick us off here. So Leidos in general, right? We are a large government contractor. We are over 50 years old. We celebrated our 50th anniversary back in February of 2019. So the company, like I said, over 50 years old, a little bit north of 37,000 total employees, and a little north of $11 billion. We're a worldwide government contractor. You know, we have work in over 400 locations across the world. We are in over 40 states. We're in over 120 countries and territories worldwide. Our work breaks down really into four main areas. We have work supporting the federal civilian market. We have work supporting health. And then we have work supporting defense and intelligence. For the purposes of this call today and the two programs that are going to be briefed, we're going to be focusing on those last two, defense and intelligence, and specifically skill sets relating more to the technical side. And real quick, just to kind of cover, like I said, my role within the organization, I lead up Operation MVP. And my contact information will be on the last slide, and I certainly encourage anyone on the call to reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn, send me an email, you know, and I'd be happy to talk to you offline about, you know, opportunities within Leidos in general. But as far as our military program goes, you can kind of see just a little bit of information there. We have over 7,700 veterans within the organization. And, you know, we've continued to kind of grow and increase in our veteran hiring and veteran employee numbers throughout the last several years. So as I kind of mentioned, again, Alex Verhulst, and happy to speak with anybody here towards the end of the call during our Q&A portion, as well as, like I said, talk to anybody offline about opportunities at Leidos. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Roman, who is going to get us started with the first program we're going to be briefing, which is our NGEN program. Thank you again.
Thanks, Alex. All right, so I'm here to tell you a little bit today about the largest IT services program in the Department of the Navy, to the tune of about $9 billion and growing. Those of you with roots in the sea services are very familiar with the Navy Marine Corps intranet. You're familiar with the Navy Next Generation and the Continuity of Services contract that over the last 20 or so years have brought the Marine Corps and Navy forward in its IT delivery, and really have focused on cybersecurity, network operations, service desk, and data transport. Under the service management, integration, and transport part of the Navy Next Generation recompete contract, we've been able to secure thousands of positions that support our brothers and sisters in uniform through civilian counterparts contracted, specifically in this case through Leidos and our partners, to deliver high quality service and skills to those people who need it most at the warfighting front. Now, NGEN has 3 sub-programs. There's NMCI, there's OneNet, and there's MCEN. I'm the Marine Corps Liaison Officer, and my focus is particularly on the MCEN, the Marine Corps Enterprise Network. However, there are additional opportunities, specifically with the Navy on NMCI, and specifically overseas with OneNet. To be clear, these positions range from the lowest level entry to some of the more sophisticated high-level program types. So if you've got military experience and you're coming in, you're likely to find a very close fit. If you're coming in from the Navy and the Marine Corps, you probably already do a job that you might find amenable to you and that's accessible to everyone else. When we go to the next slide, here, what we'll identify is how we do some of that work and what we're trying to do. The intent of NGEN is to deliver the services required for the military to continue to do its work forward, as well as at its base, posts, and stations. What we found is that it really clears the field, and it helps people to focus on what's important, literally fighting our nation's wars, while everything else is being done in the background to ensure continuity of operations and the smooth flow of material and equipment forward. A lot of that includes things like taking care of our data centers and ensuring things like the telephone services, that your computer IT services, printing services, file services, etc., continue to run. Not just the mundane, but also some of the more extraordinary things like 5G and its interoperation with Wi-Fi and other aspects of complex and advanced IT services are delivered by NGEN. Many of you are familiar with the tools and the data management services which the military is used to relying on as it delivers its mission abroad, as well as domestically. IT service management, some of those traditional roles with asset change configuration management, regular IT performances and service catalog management are all higher level skills that all apply, but can range across the various bases, posts, and stations to include ships at sea and Marines deployed in the field abroad, so that you can have everything from an electronic classroom to the build out of complex architectures that sustain the Marine Corps Expeditionary Forces, their information groups, and the supporting structures there. We also possess service desks that act as that one-stop shop to make it easy for anyone who comes in with a problem to get it resolved quickly and efficiently. On our next slide, we're going to take a look at the MCEN specifically. And the MCEN is the Marine Corps Enterprise Network. It's a pretty unwieldy beast, but it's one which has been held together for the last 30 years by the Marine Corps, and for about the last 18 years in concert with contracted partners to deliver some of those critical IT support services in order to maintain that Marine Corps information technology environment. We work with traditional carriers, with some of the local exchanges, the Verizons, the AT&Ts, the Bells, in order to deliver services you'd expect in garrison that you will receive at sea and that you might receive in a regular office block. I can't understate just how important the Marine Corps Enterprise Network is. And it's tough to overstate the devotion with which many of our Marines and sailors adhere to the principles that govern how we protect our information and secure the technologies required to deliver lethal force forward. The MCEN is regionalized. It's broken up across numerous bases, posts, and stations. And when we pop to the next slide here, you'll see that it's scattered across quite a large swath of our nation and abroad. The DC metro area, Camp Pendleton, Camp Lejeune, Cherry Point, New Orleans for the reserves, St. Louis, Kansas City, and places abroad, including Japan, Germany, and Bahrain and Italy, are all part of the NGEN program. On the next slide, you'll see some of those additional opportunities that are available. Some of these marry very closely to your military occupational skills or your ratings. Although they are close matches, they're not necessarily the same as what you do in the service today. Specifically, what you gain through working with a vendor like Leidos is the ability to pursue technical certifications, to look at career tracks, and to pursue additional education. We're very familiar with working with military members in order to bridge the gap between wearing a uniform one day and becoming a productive citizen, benefiting the armed services through this contract in the future. Sean Huffman is my partner in this endeavor, and he is one of the primary recruiters for the NGEN contract. Sean, would you like to take it from here?
Yes, thank you, Roman. As Roman mentioned, my name is Sean Huffman. I am a U.S. Air Force veteran supporting the largest Navy and Marine Corps program. So contrary to what everyone's told me in all of my past Air Force affairs, the Navy and Marine Corps guys are quite smart. As Roman mentioned, there are a number of opportunities in a number of locations on this NGEN MCEN program. I wanted to give you a few tips and some insight as to what a recruiter like myself might be looking for as you venture into your next career opportunity. So as you're applying to these opportunities with Leidos and other organizations, and as you progress into the next phase of your career, I want you to keep these things in mind. First and foremost, recruiters are your friends. We are people persons, people. Myself, I am one, but we don't have a lot of time. So this is a sort of a laundry list. I don't have a pretty slide for this, but I wanted to give you an idea of what we are looking for and why we're looking for it. So first and foremost, when you read a job description, keep in mind the required skills. That's the first thing that any recruiter is going to look for on your resume is the required skills. Do they meet the basic qualifications or required skills? If you don't, we can't consider it unless we change the actual job description. And that's not really easy to do with the Navy or the Marine Corps. So secondly, the required skills will a lot of the times require a clearance, a DoD, in this case with the MCEN, a DoD secret clearance at a minimum. Some of them require top secret. It's predominantly secret clearance. So they need to be active secret clearances to be considered for these roles. Many of these opportunities on MCEN will require the DoD 8570 IAT Level 2 certification. That may not mean a lot to most of you, or some of you rather, but that in most cases, a Security Plus CE will meet that demand. But again, the IAT, Information Assurance Technician Level 2, is required for most of these roles. I think something that's interesting about this particular program is that we've created, Roman and and our talent acquisition group has created a career plan, not only for this program, but for Leidos. This is a 5-year program with a number of option years. I believe it's 3. Roman, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's 5 plus 3. So there is an opportunity there for long-term employment and career opportunity, and we've created a path for folks that want to join and become grow in their career. Roman, is that correct?
It is correct.
Okay, very good.
There's an
I didn't want to be
Mhm.
perfect. So again, there is a plan for those that want to join to grow their career, their skill sets, and as Roman mentioned, get certified. As Roman mentioned, there's locations all over the CONUS and OCONUS. So it's an opportunity to see the world. Although most military folks have seen the world already. All right, so we were talking about the what a recruiter's looking for. So the basic qualifications, required skills, first thing, make those things stand out in your resume, because we have about 30 seconds that we're not reading through every line and every word of your resume. We're skimming to look for the basic qualifications met, the basic certifications that are being that are required being met, the clearance, making sure that that's being met. Also, the years of experience. Many of these job requirements that you're going to see on ours and other companies' websites are going to have a required years of experience. If you don't meet those, more than likely that you're not going to get an opportunity. So make sure that those years of experience are very clear on your resume. In some cases, a degree is required, but with most contracts, for a technician level, years of experience can be considered in lieu of that degree or specific degree program. So again, I think the most important thing is to make those basic qualifications and required skills stand out on your resume, so I can look at it, I can see that you're a candidate that has taken a look and really knows that you are a fit for the role that you're applying for. You're going to find my contact information on the end of the slide deck. I would encourage you to reach out to me, as Alex mentioned, on LinkedIn. You can email me directly. However you prefer. I will. We have a number of opportunities. Most recruiters carry between 30 and 40 positions they're trying to fill. On this McSIN program, I'm currently carrying 168 positions that I need to fill. So I encourage that contact. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Good morning. My name is Shane Yeager. I'm a 27-year Navy veteran, and I'm been predominantly the entire time in that. Been in the cryptologic and now cyber. It's described in cyber profession. I was both enlisted for 16 years and commissioned for 12, so I have a bit of understanding and background for where you all are coming from. And like Alex and Sean said, I welcome the opportunity to engage with you on LinkedIn. I'm very much a pay it forward kind of person. I got a lot of support from a lot of seniors as I was transitioning from the service, and I continue to offer that back to anyone who asks. The program that we're going to talk about today is and part of the intelligence director for Leidos, and inside that we are the cybersecurity, and predominantly our customers are the DC Beltway, with our largest customer being the National Security Agency Central Security Service. Our largest program on that is the NANA contract, or it stands for NSA, the N, and then analysis, so NANA. And we provide the government with the both the hard and some of them are the soft skills supporting cyber profession, the skills that we go after and try and do support the defense, identify the vulnerabilities, make sure that we understand and report out and get out the mitigation capabilities against the adversary threat in cyber. Contract was awarded in April of 2010, and a lot has happened in cyber since then. We've reorganized twice within the NSA, and yet the NANA contractors have remained core to NSA's ability to conduct cyber operations and defense operations. We operate across the Information Assurance Directorate, Cyber Defense, and SIGINT missions of NSA. If you're doing the math, a 10-year contract awarded in April 2010 means we're past our contract. NSA looked at us and said they weren't ready to compete the program and they couldn't extend the program that we were on any longer. A 10-year contract is the longest they could do. So they've created a bridge contract of 3 years, taking us out to 2022. That bridge contract, along with bridge contracts for other contracts supporting the NSA, will all sort of end at the same time, and new contracts, larger contracts, will be the children of the contracts today. There's about 4 contracts that will be consolidated into 2 major contracts, and we as a prime and as the incumbent look forward to additional years of supporting the cybersecurity directorate. I've got this next section of my slide is repeated on the next slide, so if we could advance. So we support the National Security Agency, as I said, under the Threat Operations Center, now called the National Security Agency's Cyber Threat Operations Center. And that's our 24-hour watch. Those folks are doing the initial triage, identification, and there is work on there, everything from all source analysts finding things that are being disclosed in an unclassified environment about threats, all the way to our most capable technicians doing initial triage and mitigation to defend those networks of the .mil and .gov, and then collaborating across the IC with integrated partners of FBI and Treasury and other agencies that are on our watch floor. You can see at the bottom there, we have the basic intelligence cycle of, first there are requirements, and those requirements are levied at the national level all the way down to the tactical level. The president wants to know what's going on in a particular region, and the tactical warfighter needs to know who's around the corner, right? So requirements are levied upon the agency. Planning and direction activities take place. That's also gets into the tasking of the activity and the racking and stacking, so that we can make sure that we're providing the target information and we're not duplicating an effort, because there's more cyber effort against us than we have cyber people going against that. Collection is then done, and then it's analyzed and processed, and then those things come out the other end. It's in the form of threat assessments, signatures, fingerprints, security warnings, and then the larger intelligence reports. Our folks monitor those networks for the intrusion. They task the collection all the way down to producing and disseminating reports, as I said. If we can go to the next slide. So where are we at? We have quite a large list of skill sets that are required under NANA, but they fall into about 3 major categories. Our threat and vulnerability specialists, and our multi-source analyst, and on the next slide I will show about our planners. But under the threat vulnerability analyst, these are the very high-skilled folks that classify and triage the problem, get the information out to the decision makers, who will then figure out what needs to be done next, whether that's deobfuscating the adversary's vector when they're coming in at us, reverse engineering the malware so we can figure out where it's coming from a C2 standpoint, and then creating incident reports that allow us to inform the victim at the proper classification level. They create advisories to make that happen. They write informal technical notes, so they have to have an understanding of the processes for reporting. They go into and they continue to monitor the ongoing threats. So just, we know a threat is happening somewhere in the world. We know where it's coming from, but we don't know who the victim is yet, or we don't know exactly how they're getting to us from an infrastructure. So I encourage you, if you're familiar with cyber problems and you understand this and you're looking for opportunities with us, really be able to communicate in your resume to Gus your understanding of what those job requirements are. And the diamond model is a good way of talking about what you know and understand, whether it's the adversary, and that adversary could be a nation state, it could be a hacktivist or hackers that do things on behalf of a cause. And then they have capabilities, whether that's spam through spear phishing emails, whether it's malware that gets put onto a computer, and then that malware needs to be identified and understood. It often embedded in that malware is returning communication, so it's the infrastructure that gets back to the adversary, or it's a vector for which they actually try to get to the victim. So the four corners of that diamond represent the challenges that we have. We may know that the adversary is out there, but we can't tie that adversary to a capability or the infrastructure. And then the victim we know is being attacked, but all we know is where it's coming in from an infrastructure standpoint, but we don't know the capability that they got there. So we provide the agency with people that are very skilled in all four of those areas. And so some of those skills are more soft, and that's when we get into this multi-source security specialist, which provides that social, behavioral, the cultural analysis that gets us into why the adversary does what they do. They might bring in imagery to determine the route that someone took to get from office to home, and that tells them something about their the time frame and the ability for that person to get back to their computer. Like if Johnny wants to get on the adversary's computer, maybe it's a good idea to know when when the adversary's not at his computer, right? So there's a lot of social and behavioral analysis that's done to determine the best way for the warfighter, and albeit mostly Cyber Command, but Treasury and FBI get involved in this through their authorities, and so they need a lot of different skill sets. So it's not all the hard skill sets, and Gus can talk more about that. If we go to the next slide. This is what gets into where I sit today. I'm the lead cyber planner for about 15 of us that sit in our customers planning shop. And we do everything from evaluate and provide input to national policy. And that goes all the way to the national security strategy, the national cyber strategy, the defense strategy, and then from there into AOR specific mitigations and plans or implementation plans that go against those threats. We work planning operations that deal with the physical layer. That's the geographic and where it's located on the face of the earth, the logical layer and how that network is laid out and the communication there. And then, as I said before, that those softer skills of understanding the persona and working with our psychologists that we are embedded with, who give us a good idea of the best technique to to cause that cyber actor to pause in their operation from what goes on between their ears, not what goes on their keyboard. So these folks have a variety of skill sets, but they probably come from a large military background. Most of us, I would say 90% of us have a military background in my planning field, and most of them have planning backgrounds with service components or in a joint environment. And those are the kind of skills that we're really looking for. If we go to the next slide. So this is where I'll start to hand off to Gus, and I appreciate your time. We have folks predominantly at the Fort Meade area, but we have our extended enterprise in San Antonio, Augusta, Georgia, Oahu, folks up in Anchorage at the AMOC, and even some opportunities out in Dayton, Ohio that are embedded there. Again, I appreciate the time to speak with you all this morning. I'm on LinkedIn, and I look forward to anyone that reaches out to me. Tell me where you saw my name. If you have a question about transition specific to the service components, I'd be glad to help any and all of you find a rewarding career, whether it's with us or if need be with our competitors. I'm all for making sure that everyone has a soft landing coming out of the service. And again, I appreciate your time. Over to you, Gus.
Okay, thank you, Shane. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Gus Stathis. I'm the lead intel recruiter for the NANA program. I have been supporting NANA for about 4 years now, specifically. I have 2 other recruiters that assist me on this program on the back end, providing recruiting support and other sourcing needs that I do need. Sean did mention a lot of what recruiters do. I'll talk a little bit more about the recruiter process and what you should expect moving forward when you're talking to a recruiter, whether it be with Leidos or a competitor. We do our basic screening. When we're talking to you, our basic goal is to really talk to you, find out what your goals are, what you plan on doing, what you want to do, what you like to do, and make sure it's a good fit for you. Because if it's a good fit for you, it's a good fit for the organization. We want you to be doing something that you're happy with and a job that you like so you can progress in your career. The basic skills and what we're looking for was discussed with Sean and what he talked about, and Shane as well, in regards to the needs that we have. The process is, let's say you are interested, we talk to you, we interview with you. I'll send you a specific worksheet skill set that I will provide beforehand, that you send back to me, that'll give me some basic information about some of the basic skills that you have. And we'll conduct a basic interview, find out your location, your requirements, your salary needs, what your goals are, and what it is that you like to do, so we can create a formal interview. Nowadays, we're just doing phone interviews right now because of the COVID-19 situation. We'll set up a formal interview with you. After that interview, I'll follow back up with you and let you know kind of the next steps, interest level, where we think you might fit on the program, and kind of move forward. If it is a positive fit, we will move forward and do a contingent offer for you. That offer is contingent. It's contingent upon, number one, you being accepted on the program, and number two, passing your security requirements that are needed for the NANA program. For NANA, you will need to get your full scope poly or be approved to brief to be able to start on the program before that. So those 2 things need to happen together in order for you to actually start on the program. I know a lot of people don't understand that process. 2 things need to happen. You need to be, number one, the position needs to be available for you from the customer, and your clearance has to be either be approved to brief or your clearance approved so you can start on the program. Once that happens, we get back to you and say, hey, those things have happened. Please provide a start date that works for you. And then we relay that back to the customer, and we try to select a good start date for you to begin. I think that needs to be clarified, and make sure, if you're not talking with myself or other recruiters, make sure you understand that process and really have a good idea of that you have a start date. A lot of people feel that when they get a contingent offer that they actually have a job. You have a contingent offer, you don't actually have a job. You need to make sure that you do that. So that's one thing I like to specify. People coming out of the military might not understand that whole understanding of the process itself. So, and then us as recruiters, Leidos recruiters, other recruiters, we like to walk you through the process, educate you, mentor you, kind of through the whole process as in regards to what it takes to actually start with a company. If, let's say, per se, you are not a qualified candidate for our program, us at Leidos, the recruiters, we share information, we share candidates. What we do is advise you. If we feel where you might fit in another program, we'll share your resume with all of our other recruiters. And if by chance, what we do is I also advise that you review our website, our career website. And if you see a job or an opportunity that you are interested in, always contact me, send me the job number, the job title, and what I can do as a recruiter within Leidos is look up that number in the system, see who the recruiter is, and help you network with that recruiter. The key with recruiters is understanding and knowing who, having the right recruiter for the right job. Sean has his bucket that he fills. I have my own. We all search for different things. So it's helpful if you have, for what you do, have the right recruiter to help you for the skill set that you're looking for. So it's good to know recruiters, but it's better to know the right recruiter. So again, it's our job as a recruiters to help you through the process, understand and make you and help you better feel comfortable about what you're doing and what you're looking for, so we can better help you find a home. And that's pretty much the goal of what our recruiters and what we do for Leidos. As far as some of the positions that we look for, again, Shane had mentioned some of the opportunities we look for on, different skill sets. We have the forensic side of the house, the technical side, and also the analytical side. Your forensic side of the house is going to be your network threat support area, your malicious code, your malware area. On the technical side, it's going to be more C&D, computer network planning, operations, and support, those areas. And on the analytical side, you're going to get involved with your multi-source area, your cyber analysis, and also your DNIA area. Those are the kind of the areas that we look for. The NANA program itself, when we're looking for people, we look for general skills to see if where you fit on the overall program. If you have some of those general skills, whether it be in the forensics, the technical, or the analytical side, we just want to see all of those skills, because we have a variety of technical task orders that you might fit in. So for example, if you're on a shop, technical task orders, a TTO, or a shop might be another term that you might know. So you might fit as a DNIA in TTO 10, but on TTO 25, because you had maybe some cyber experience, you might be a cyber analysis. And that's where the technical interview is going to come into play, to really understand where you fit best on the program. We've got a variety of positions. We probably have about 30 or 40 positions open right now. We've got about 290 people that are actually on the program now in the locations that Shane provided. So a lot going on with the program. We've been very successful on the program, receiving all of our achievement awards, and have a very, very good relationship with the program, and a good longevity and good history. So our goal is to help you. Number one, of course, is to help you, guide you, and to get you on the NANA program. If you're not a fit on the NANA program, our next goal is to get you with Leidos and on a Leidos program. So again, my contact information is provided. I'm on LinkedIn. Reach out at any time for any questions that you might have. And again, if you're not a fit for the NANA program, our goals as recruiters to help you find another opportunity within Leidos. So feel free to reach out at any time. Thank you.
Okay, We have a question.
Hey,
I have.
um,
Oh, go ahead.
Tim, sorry, this is Alex. I just wanted to ask before we got to the questions. I wanted to give Roman and Sean and Shane and Gus a chance to comment just on sort of the protocol as it relates to. Gus kind of hit on a little bit when he was speaking, and um, it kind of brought it to mind, and definitely something that I think would be helpful to discuss is just sort of our protocol right now as it relates to the interview process, and then also to the extent we're able to, because the majority of this work is at a customer location, whether it be DoD or within the intelligence community, sort of what our protocol is what right now in regards to starting new employees and reporting to work, and if there's any kind of adjusted type of work schedule or anything like that with these two programs. So I was just hoping that our team here could comment on that.
Yeah,
Sure.
Alex, Sean. What
Great.
I'm finding so far is it's location based, and correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, if this has changed. But what I'm seeing, location based, depending on if you're in the Northeast or Southeast, or depending on country dependent. We're seeing some customers where they have rotating schedules, where they might have somebody come in Monday and Tuesday, someone else come in Wednesday and Thursday, to sort of spread out social distance. We're also still seeing some locations where it's telework only. So again, that's fairly location dependent, and that's all I know about the situation right now.
Add a little bit to that. So there are some remote possibilities, and those particular positions are defined in the job descriptions as being remote. So that is an option. However, many of these positions require work in a classified environment. Those classified environments require you to be on site. What's been adopted by the government usually and by other clients is alternating schedules. So you might have folks who take a day on or a day off here and there, or perhaps a week on or a week off, but those schedules are worked actively. Very similar to what we're doing on active duty today. One thing in it that we should bear in mind is that as positions are available, there are genuine remote work possibilities. So it is possible to find your roots wherever they may be, and then go back in and specifically seek out a program that has the geographic location that you're interested in, or to look for a remote option, which just gives you the free reign of the map. Very difficult to do between different time zones outside of the US. So just advisory on that. But if you're in Japan, if you're in Bahrain, if you're in Italy, if you're in Germany, if you're already there, or if you have a spouse who's available, please bring these opportunities up.
So, so I would add that our customer at NSA is currently under a black and gold teaming environment because our current current commander and director is Army. We are black and gold, but it just gives us the ability to find Team A and Team B. So we are currently supporting the customer on a standby status for half of the contract. Is off on a given week, and then we're back on the following week. That will impact those of you that are looking for opportunities because our customer is also on a bi-week or every other week basis. So where it might have been 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks in the past to get from resume to Gus, from Gus to an interview, from an interview with us to a customer review, that time frame is going to be impacted by the customer's availability, and then their time that they have available when they're in is to try and get a lot of different things done in the week that they're at work. So be mindful of that. I wouldn't say that you're probably going to need to be looking and signing up with one of our recruiters for an opportunity any sooner than you normally would have, which would be between, Gus, you correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't really tend to even offer contingent letters beyond 90 days. But 30 to 60 days out, and then plan on that idea, especially as you're transitioning be understanding that the customer also has a voice in this, and they're also impacted by the COVID. From what I'm understanding, those of you that are seeking opportunities, OCONUS, Japan, Hawaii, you're impacted on your ability to, if you're trying to move to those locations, you're impacted on your ability to actually get to your site. So I'm sure that the recruiters that are trying to staff in these OCONUS areas are being impacted by the ability to actually get recruits outside of that geographic area to that geographic area. So be mindful of that. If you're trying to get overseas and you need a paycheck next Tuesday, you might not make it there as fast as you were hoping to get. So be mindful of that. Be ready. Be flexible. Semper Gumby.
Yeah, Shane makes a really good point about being prepared through the process and having, if you need a job and you need to pay your bills, I can't tell you how many people are, Uber drivers and pizza delivery people and just doing whatever they need to do to pay their bills while they are waiting for the process to go through. So again, just because you have a contingent offer does not give you a start date. So be prepared to wait it out anywhere between 30 and 90 days. So just be prepared for that.
Okay, thank you for that. There are a couple questions here in the Q&A section. Let's see, what are your thoughts on salary negotiation? Is there much leeway for that at Leidos?
I would say the answer is always yes. There's always salary negotiation, but it all depends on each contract has its own numbers and what they can afford and what they can't afford. So we do negotiate depending on certain situations for each program. So again, it's all relative to the program and what they can afford and budgets.
Okay, let's see, I have another one here. What is the style of interview you as recruiters prefer? Is it behavior, job fit, case study, or a combination?
I would say probably a combination of everything. Like I say, we're going to do a deep dive into obviously what you do and what you like to do, but definitely behavioral skills, what kind of environment you like. Do you like a fast-paced environment? Do you like a slow-paced environment? Kind of get into the nitty-gritty of what your style is and what is going to be a good environment for you. Like I said, as mentioned before, we want it to be a good fit for you. So if it's a good fit for you, it works for everybody. So I would say all around yes to that.
I would like to jump in. Everything Gus just mentioned that's a perfect answer. I would go one step further and say I typically enjoy speaking with a candidate for 15 or 20 minutes to make sure I feel good about presenting them over to the hiring team. But my opinion only matters a little bit because the hiring team, and I'm supposed to know what my hiring team wants, but the hiring team really does the hardcore interview. They're the ones that make sure it's going to be a good fit for their team and that it's going to be a good fit for each individual candidate. So typically for me in our program, it's a two-part interview. It's one with me and then one with the hiring team.
Yep. Now I'm going to take that as a segue, Sean, because I'm one of those hiring managers. So when I work with Sean or when I work with some of the other recruiters, what we're trying to do then is find the people who meet all of the wickets, right? If the job description says you need to be a secret or TS classified, then you go to the appropriate wicket. If you do not have if you do not have a TS clearance and you're applying for a TS job, you're not qualified, please save yourself the mental anguish of thinking you might just make it. Because what we're looking for here are those people who immediately align to the requirement. That gets you through the screen. That doesn't mean, however, that if you are secret, you can't work up to a TS ultimately through time, right? So go for the best fit first. And then recognize that there are people on the other side who wore the uniform just like you and who know where you're coming from, know the path that you have trod, and are very willing and able to understand your point of view and bring that into focus. Apply it to this specific job and give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if anybody has any advice for kind of going through the virtual interview process? Because I imagine a lot of our interviews right now, we're using platforms like Zoom to conduct virtual interviews. So any advice to the candidates for kind of navigating that virtual interviews?
Yes, I do. First off, be in a quiet location where you have good lighting and you can't, not everyone can see your terrible sunburn. That's probably irreversible. But yes, be in a quiet location. Keep the dogs and the small children out of the room if you can, just because it can be a distraction to the interviewer. You know, ask questions to make sure that your answers to the questions were understood, and always always ask if there's any further explanation for your answers, because no one's perfect. You can lose attention really quick on these phone interviews if you don't have a person staring you right in the face.
All right, thank you for that. I have a question. If a veteran has already transitioned out of the military and their clearance has gone inactive, is there a possibility, if they're still eligible to receive a clearance, do they have to have one coming to the table?
So I would offer that for us, those that require a top secret STI or secret compartment information clearance with a polygraph, either a CI polygraph, which is a counterintelligence polygraph, which the military people predominantly get while working for the NSA, or a full scope requirement clearance, which is what all civilians receive, and including the defense contractors. You may feel the transitioning veteran may think, well, I've been out for 6 months, my clearance is expired. For us, your clearance remains available to you for up to 2 years from the date you last held your clearance. So you can say, even if you've been out for 90 days and you're applying for a job that requires a full scope clearance, you just put TSSCI full scope clearance and leave it at that. Gus will reach out to security if need be to determine that your clearances can be seen in the system under what is called JPass, and they'll determine, yes, the clearance is still active, even though you don't have access to classified information anymore because you're home and you've been out for 90 days. That doesn't mean your clearance is gone. It will be excruciatingly difficult if you choose to follow the path of, you want to start a new career in a new area, and you go do something, you open up a pastry shop, and then after 2 years you find that that's not exactly what you want to do and you want to get back into cyber. At that point, you would have to reapply for a clearance all over again from the very beginning. You would need someone to sponsor that activity, and that means they would have to have an open requirement that they're waiting for you to fill, and they need to leave you slated against that requirement until you actually get your clearance back. So if you want to hold on to your clearance and you have it now, and you think you're going to use it, get back to using it. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Let it expire and go open a pastry shop. Don't worry about holding on to your clearance if that's not what you want to do in the future. But from a clearance standpoint, for us, you need to have that, and just saying it on your resume isn't there. If it's not true and it expired 4 years ago, don't leave it on your resume. It's just going to cause pain and consternation for you and the recruiter when they say, oh, okay, I go down the wickets, got 8 years of experience, got a full scope clearance, and then they get to an interview and they go, oh yeah, well, my clearance expired 4 years ago. So you've wasted everyone's time, and that's just not good for you, and it's definitely not good for the program. So there you go.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in real quick. Just in general, kind of bringing it outside of just the defense and intelligence space, but when you're looking at opportunities on Leidos's career site, You can use our filters to select different categories of clearances, one being no clearance. And you can look at all opportunities we have, again, not requiring any clearance, or, you know, from secret all the way up to the full scope polygraph level of clearance. But with that kind of being said, there are quite a few opportunities, especially in the IT space, with positions that don't require a clearance. You know, some of these will fall outside of defense and intelligence in our civil group and our health group, but there are opportunities within, like I said, especially within the technical skill sets for a lot of the customers we support with the federal government, that, you know, they'll require maybe a public trust, or they will require background investigation, but they won't necessarily require you to come in the door with a clearance. So just kind of keeping that in mind, and as you navigate our career site this week, hopefully in preparation for the career fair on Friday, where we'll get a chance maybe to speak to some of you more one-on-one. I just kind of keep that in mind as you're navigating our site.
Gus here, just to piggyback a little bit on Alex's comments. So when we do an interview with you, we will send you a security pre-screen to be filled out. So a lot of people sometimes don't know where their clearance is. They're not sure if it's still active or not. We're able to find out the status of your clearance. So we do a security pre-screen and can give you a little bit of a heads up as to where you are, just FYI.
Okay, okay, one just popped in as I was getting ready to, let's see. Okay, if I have a clearance in many years as an Intel analyst, but don't possess the years formally doing IT and cyber work, can I still break into the field and fill some of those roles? Can being self-taught and certain certs be enough?
I can answer that piece from the NMCI and NGEN perspective, and one that, yes, there's room at the entry level and moving on up through the ranks. You can come in with every level of certification, or you can come in with minimal levels of certification. As was pointed out earlier, the 8570 and the 8140 requirements for cyber workforce continue to apply. So you will improve yourself as time goes by, but you're certainly welcome to come in. Reservist, non-reservist, and veterans, of course, all can apply.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I was just gonna, just that last question, just, you know, about, you know, Reserve and National Guard members. You know, certainly we obviously welcome individuals who are in the Guard or in the Reserves, you know, and certainly we'll work with you on your military obligations with that. But, you know, that's obviously we support it overall, and just from a business standpoint, it's a benefit to you coming in the door, because as you market yourself to prospective employers, you know, you're oftentimes coming in with things we talked about today: clearance, certifications, and not only that, but you're going to continue to be trained and continue to grow your professional career outside of the employer that you're with through your time in the Guard and the Reserves. So it's a strong marketing point just for you as a candidate as you speak to different employers.
All right. I guess we're at about an hour, and if anybody has any lingering question, we have time for one more. If not, then I would like to thank our speakers for your time and preparation, and encourage our attendees to reach out to the contacts on the screen. And also a reminder that this program is recorded and available at hiringourheroes.org/career-community. And once again, if you'd like to sign up for future sessions, We're at hiringourheroes.org/events. So thank you very much for your time, and good luck.
Thanks, Tim, and thanks to everybody from Leidos. Thanks, Gus, Sean, Shane, and Roman for attending today.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.